showers for Thursday with a high near 73. I'm Holly Vale from WSIC's Weather Center.
If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
All Things Saine. Representative Saine.
And good morning. You are listening to All Things Saine on WSIC. This is our broadcast and podcast. You can listen to us live. You can watch us on, I think, Twitter and everything else under the sun. I think YouTube, Facebook, we're there. If watching is your thing or if listening is your thing, you can hear it on the broadcast over the air. But you can also find us on TuneIn and a bunch of other places. So, hey, great to have you on. Big show today. I am anticipating the Congressman, Patrick McHenry, calling in about 11:30. We've got a lot of interesting questions for him. We're going to talk about China and ESG and all the fun things that we might talk about. And we'll also, I think, if we can get him off the field for a moment, we might get the head coach of UNC Charlotte, Biff Poggi, if you will. He will be on. We will get him on the air and catch up with him. It's a big game this weekend. You thought the big game this weekend in Charlotte was going to be Carolina and South Carolina, but I think there's a bigger one, and it's going to be at UNC Charlotte. Right now, celebrating Bro Week. My wife has been on a conference in Asheville, so me and the little man, he's 15. We've been roughing it. Dad had to cook dinner every night, so it's been burgers and chicken and steak and all the things that dudes eat. So we've had a big time and a lot of fun. I mentioned UNC. Hearts and our thoughts, prayers go out to everyone with the UNC community. The shooting yesterday, quite tragic, was shocking to say the least. Again, just can't express words just how sad that is. But prayers for everyone involved. Again, 11:30, we'll have Representative Patrick McHenry. It's also rivalry week at home. If you're in Lincoln County, Lincolnton, the Lincoln High School Wolfpack, the Wolves will be traveling to East Lincoln to take on the Mustangs. I'll be at that game with my family. We're invited by the coach there to enjoy the game, one, and to look at the new field that we were able to procure some monies in past budgets for that field, and it's the first time they'll get to play a home game on that field. So we're looking forward to that. That'll be a big one. It'll be tough to figure out who to pull for. I always pull for the home team, but when your school's playing the home team, I guess I'll have a foot in both camps there. But again, big week for college football. A lot of things going on in politics too. We'll have a lot to talk about, as you know. When the coach calls in, we'll get him on the air, catch up with him just a little bit. If you're watching, you will notice that I have donned the Biff brand, if you will. It was watching Bay Hackle Sports. Saw a clip online where they were talking about Coach Poggi's athletic wear, if you will. You think about Tom Landry with the hat and the suit and all that. And Coach has a much different style. We'll pick on him a little bit about that. But it's pretty neat little thing that they were interviewing about just how he likes to dress and be ready for football. He is a football coach in my mind, exactly what I think of when I think about a football coach. And so he's a lot of fun. Been out a couple times to see the scrimmage. That's going to be so much fun. Expect a crowd. I was looking online for a friend to see if there were any seats available. There are a few, but not many. And that was last night, so they're probably going pretty fast. So if you're trying to get to that game on Saturday, you need to go online, get your tickets as quickly as you can because they are going fast. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of energy. First home game, first game with the new coach, and a lot of new players. I think it was 52 players that were added to the portal, and these are monster guys. I've seen some football players, but standing around them in a locker room or there at the field, you'll figure out real quick just how small you are. I think I'm a pretty good sized guy, but these guys are mountains of men. They are huge and athletic. Amazing to see the athleticism of these young men, and they're a lot of fun too. They love their coach. Coach loves them, and that will be fun to see. We also are, I guess, on hurricane watch. You never know. I remember if you're not from here, didn't grow up here, and you weren't here for Hugo. Believe it or not, hurricanes can impact our area in a very very adverse way. I can remember I was in high school when Hugo blew through here, and I slept through it. So the main part of it, according to my dad, but then when we woke up, we saw all the nice work we had to go do. So I really, pray for the people in Florida, Georgia, anywhere in the path of that storm, because it from all accounts, I guess it'll be a doozy. I guess we'll see. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully they're wrong. It's a nice part about being a weatherman. You can be right in your job 50% of the time and still be employed. But again, you're listening to All Things Saine here on WSIC. Last week we had Representative Jeffrey Elmore, who's running for lieutenant governor. Jeffrey is a good friend, and he and I sit on appropriations together. If you didn't get a chance to listen into that broadcast to that podcast, because we had a lot of fun talking back and forth about a lot of the things that we do and about how the budget process works and about him running for lieutenant governor. We'll have more candidates on this show as the year goes on. We haven't even got to filing yet. Filing will begin in, I think, December. And we'll know what the deck looks like. And I've got friends running in, I think, for every office. But as they kind of online their campaign and get to work, we'll visit with many of them and hopefully get you better informed about who your choices are. We look at the lieutenant governor's race. There's a governor's race. A lot of local races. John Bradford locally is running for the treasurer for our state, so that seat will open up. So right here in the Lake Norman area, that will be something to watch as well. My job as the conference leader for the North Carolina House Republican Caucus is to recruit candidates and help them kind of onboard their campaigns and get them going. We don't pick in the primaries, but we do try to find good candidates to run so that you do have some choices. Again, someone asked me this morning, how long have you been doing your podcast? And I said, we started this thing July 5th this year, and it has gone by so fast. We've been to Orlando. We've done several broadcasts from my office in Raleigh. Glad to be home, of course, getting ready for that game on Saturday. But it's great to get the interaction and the commentary and the input from people who are listening. Even some of the people who catch the little things I slip into some of the broadcasts. I call them Easter eggs, like a Marvel movie. You can find little things here and there that we talk about. But that game at Bank of America Stadium this week, UNC Chapel Hill in South Carolina, it's actually a day where I will be pulling for a Carolina team. But I will be at the UNC Charlotte game on the campus at Jerry Richardson Stadium. They're at UNC Charlotte. A lot of fun. I don't know if I'm going to be wearing my Poggi brand shirt, but I got it on for this broadcast because I texted with the coach earlier and I said, hey, you got to come on and preview the game. And then after I saw this clip of him doing his fashion, I thought it was incredible. So hey, we're going to have him talk about that. So when we come back from the break, we're going to have Coach on, talk to him for just a few minutes, get a preview of that game. And then 11:30, after the 11:30 break, we will have Representative Patrick McHenry, our congressman in the 10th District. You're listening to All Things Saine on WSIC.
There's more All Things Saine with NC Representative Jason Saine on the way from the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Here's your WSIC community calendar. Looking for a night of laughs? Mike Goodwin, who's been on America's Got Talent, is coming to Kane Center.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Hey, Jason, how are you?
I'm good. We just went to the break, so we'll be back up here in just a second. I'll get you on. I was
okay. It sounds great. You good? You good for Thursday?
Oh yeah. Looking forward to it. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Okay, great. Look forward to it.
Yep, I've got on my Poggi brand. I don't know what we're gonna call this, but one of the guys got me one of your shirts. So I've got the V-neck and the ripped out sleeves, and I think you wear.
Don't you feel great?
Well, I
Don't
do.
you feel free?
Very cool, man. I like it. I wonder if I could get away with this on the house floor.
I love it.
I've worn jeans before. I don't know if I get away with the only requirement is we have on a jacket and a tie. So I mean, technically, I could wear a tie or a bolo. A bolo will work. So I could do. Yeah, it could really look like bad
And
company.
you can wear that underneath it.
Yeah.
You can wear that underneath it. Well, I'm gonna elect you president if you do that.
Hey, don't threaten me with a good time. I'll probably do it. How are things going? You looking forward to it?
Really good.
Yeah?
Yeah, really. Man, we can't wait to play. We are so tired of the nonsense. The American Conference put out something yesterday, which I'm going to show my team on Thursday, which is percentage chance for every team in the league to win the American Conference.
Yep.
We're the only team not listed.
Oh no!
Yeah.
That's an oversight, and we are being broadcast on Facebook Live right now. Just so you know, I don't like to surprise anybody, but that's I'll clean it up. That's BS. Yeah, I can say BS. Yeah, okay. That's a lot of junk, but that's okay. You know what? I like being underestimated.
Yeah, that's motivation for sure, right?
Absolutely. We got about 30 seconds before we go live.
Okay. Yeah, so best day of practice yesterday. We're healthy too, which is nice.
Awesome.
This debt crisis is going to set our economy back big time.
This is WSIC News Talk Now.
And welcome back to All Things Saine on WSIC. I'm your host, Representative Jason Saine. I am rocking the Biff Poggi wear. We call it the Biff brand. Coach, it's good to have you on air. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Man, I'm good. I'm cool. I mean, I feel free. This is amazing.
You feel free, and yeah, I mean, it's cooler. You know, it's just non-restricting. It's the way to roll.
Well, I was telling my wife this morning. I said, I think that in honor of Coach, I'm going to wear my Biff brand. She said, you should do it. You should do it. So, a new look for me. But cool and free is okay. We're getting cool and free as we head into the weekend here. There's a couple big games in Charlotte. I think the biggest one's going to be the 49ers in South Carolina. Tell us a little bit about the game. How's prep going? Is the team ready? I was listening to Nakai on one of the radio shows. He did an excellent job, by the way. Looking forward to seeing him play. Really, all your team. The guys are an incredible group of guys. I know they're ready, but how you feeling?
Jason, we feel great. We're healthy, which is really nice. We had a real physical camp, and we came out healthy, which is a blessing. Our players are just chomping at the bit to play. We've had our best couple days, Monday and Tuesday, that we've had all year, which is what you like to see. South Carolina State is coached by a legendary Hall of Fame coach, and they struggled in their opener, but I'm convinced that Coach Pugh will have them ready to go. And we're looking for a tough game, but we like how we're coming into it.
Well, there are no easy wins, and
Right.
Certainly, any opponent someone to take seriously. But this is the start of a very, very tough schedule that you have, and you've had a few critics out there. But I don't think the ones that are critical have not they've not been on campus and seen what's happening there. I know that you feel like you got some magic going. I think the players have something to prove and they're ready to do it. We'll kind of preview what the season looks like, but let's not get past Saturday. I mean, Saturday's important. And I was just looking online too. Before we get to that, I was just looking online last night at the tickets to see. I had a friend ask if he could come to the game. So let me look, make sure that they still have tickets. There were a few, but there's not many left at the stadium.
No, I think we're close to sold out, which is wonderful. They've also put up some additional seating, which is really cool, and great spot to be. And we're expecting a full house and, a really, really great event for fans to watch. And we got to get this one. This is the most important game right now. And then there's no rest for the weary, right? We go to Maryland next week. Then we're back home against Georgia State. Then we go to Florida. Then we go to our first league game in the American Conference, is at SMU, is one of the favorites to win it. And then we have a bye week before we play Navy. So it's a tough stretch.
That is a tough stretch. SMU will be more than formidable for sure. And that's in Dallas. So you guys on the road for that one. That's tough. I mean, it's going to be, like you say, no rest for the weary. It will be, just game on as you start. You do get that bye before Navy. Navy's going to be a big game too on campus.
Oh, huge. Yeah, I think they're already sold out. That game's already sold out. And I actually think we're going to be a tough ticket to get at home because people are starting to, our fans, not the national press, but our fans are starting to, kind of understand what's going on here with our team. And I think they like the team and they're excited about it. Our students are excited. We had the representatives of Greek life on campus over to practice the other day. And so we're expecting some really, really cool stuff.
Well, a lot of alumni that I talk to are in the same place. Even though football's been at UNC Charlotte for 10 years, I talked to a lot of friends that I went to school with or maybe graduated after me that haven't been to a game. They haven't been on campus. And now they're going, I got to get a ticket. I got to go see this in person. I was at an event with the Hospitality Tourism Association of Charlotte last week, and speaking about some of the things that we had done as far as tourism and economic development for the city of Charlotte. And, of course, anytime I get a chance to be on stage in front of a hometown crowd, I mention what you're doing and what the program looks like and what's happening at UNC Charlotte. And I had a lady come up to me afterwards and say, I've never heard our university promoted that way. I've never heard someone be so excited, from the podium talking about what's happening. And I said, look, it's real. I said, you just got to go see it and be a part of it. So they're season ticket holders. So they were, she and her husband were ready to go. But you've got a lot of fan support out there for you and the whole team. Your coaching staff's amazing. They're all very kind people, though. One of the things I love about being around you is you surround yourself with really smart, talented people. Your coaching staff is some of the best.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. There are a bunch of young guys that are highly motivated and very smart, heck of a lot smarter than I am. And what I like most about them is that they love our kids, and they're good people to have around your son. And that's kind of the grid we use to bring them in, and it's been working. And I do appreciate you speaking when you speak to, when you're out developing what's good for Charlotte. I do appreciate you speaking about that, especially the hospitality group, because you know what? They've been great to us. And it's big hospitality companies, but it's also little ones too, and guys that have one store or, one hotel have been just fantastic. And so we really appreciate that very much.
Well, it's easy to do, and I'm glad to do it because I always tell my son, most people want to say yes in business and in life. And they just need to be asked. And, if you ask and you ask in a way and they're excited about you and they'll invest in you and get them to yes. I know my former colleague, Representative Rob Bryan, I think he provided snacks on Saturday for a little pool party. I told him I'd chip in on that with him and do that for the guys. So I hope they enjoyed that. Unfortunately, I was actually at another event. I was at a golf tournament speaking, not playing but speaking, and it was a little hot on Saturday. So it's probably better to be in the pool.
Yeah, it's, kids loved it. Thank you so much. Thanks for everybody that made that a possibility because they're so busy, as you know, in classes all day. Then they have their meetings and their strength and conditioning, and then practice, and then homework and study hall. So being able to get get out to the pool and have a cookout and a treat is really really nice for them to get a break.
People forget about that. These are students. I mean, they're students first before they hit that field. That's what they do, and you invest a lot in not just their football future, but really their entire life, and helping shape young men for a future, not just football. You're doing a financial literacy program that you told me about. I think is fascinating. That doesn't happen at most programs. Do you care to talk just a minute about that?
Sure. It doesn't happen in any programs that I know of. We wanted to, John Jacobson and I, John's our assistant head coach, background similar to mine. We wanted to do something that would prepare the kids for the language of finance, because no matter what they want to do, they have to be fluent in understanding finance, money, debt, equity, all the things you have to know, mortgages, credit score, all the things you have to know to live in today's world. And so we found a guy on campus who's in our business school. His name is Brad Yeckley, and he's a professor, and he is unbelievable. And his curriculum is what we use. It's 13 weeks. He teaches it to our players. It's mandatory. The kids absolutely love it. It's so good that Fidelity, which is the largest investment company in the world, is underwriting it. So it is it's a fantastic. And the idea is you take it for 2 years. Then your junior and senior year, you go down and you do an internship in Charlotte with one of the businesses that are here. We just had the CEO of Honeywell in this morning, talking to him, getting to know him, and Fortune 500 company, and hoping to get some of our guys down there.
Oh, that'd be an awesome opportunity for them. I mean, again, you don't know what you don't know till you get exposed to it, and I think that is wonderful. Right. I know as a young college kid starting, my parents had taught me a lot about life and prepared me, but really that financial conversation wasn't something that we necessarily had totally, that really understood, where I would be into the future. Now, learned along the way, and had some opportunities to learn along the way. But, for a lot of folks and a lot of kids starting college, not just football players, but for kids starting college, they just don't understand the ramifications of financial literacy. So I applaud you for doing that. That's great to partner with Fidelity and others and with Coach Jacobson there being a part of that. I think that's incredible. That is to your credit, sir, and that is very much appreciated.
I appreciate that very much. God is good and has blessed us at this university with a lot of incredible resources, and we're just trying to connect the dots. So, and the kids love it, Jason. You wouldn't believe it. They love it.
Oh, you know what? I've talked to a couple other kids. We had dinner a couple weeks ago, and just off to the side, I don't think you even heard this conversation, but they were telling me about it, because I asked them. I said, "Tell me about the financial literacy thing." He's like, this and that, and we're learning this, and knowing what needs to happen. Coach, we got about 30 seconds left, but I want to wish you the best of luck. I know the Saine household will be there cheering you on with everybody else that we're bringing with us. We're going to have a good time.
I appreciate you. Thank you for your friendship. It means a lot to me.
Yes, sir. Good luck on Saturday. Appreciate you. This has been Coach Biff Poggi, and he is going to hopefully win on Saturday. We're going to certainly be there pulling for him.
Keep it right here.
Thank
All
you.
Things Saine.
Thank you, sir.
NC
Appreciate it.
Representative Jason Saine will return after this short
See ya.
break on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Listen up, Carolinas. It's the Labor Day sales event at Lake Norman Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Save up to $12,000 off MSRP on new vehicles. We guarantee to beat any deal in the nation. LakeNormanChrysler.com.
Hello, everyone. This is Joshua Dobie from North Main Financial Group. We're blessed at North Main Financial Group that most of our clients come to us by referral. When folks have a good experience with us, they share that good experience with their friends, family, and colleagues. In doing so, when we're sitting with folks, then we're looking at their financial plan and seeing if it aligns with their goals and their desires for what yet lies ahead, be it college, be it retirement, or be it estate planning. If that sounds of interest to you, we'd love to hear from you. Reach out to us at northmainfinancial.com.
Always ready to help you make it fun to work outside. Little Shavers Wood Shop stocks up on all your wood, treated lumber, wood fencing, and all the treatment items to keep them looking great. PVG, paints, and stains, and add in some pine needles and Daddy Pete's mulch and soils, and your landscaping will be the best around. Tools, supplies, and just about all you need is ready for you at Little Shavers. Head on over to Little Shavers, 3301 Salisbury Highway, right in between Statesville, Morrisville, and Moxville. Visit LittleShaversWoodshop.com. That's LILShaversWoodshop.com.
Wake up, people. You are optimizing every waking hour of your life. From carpooling kids, to work, to friends, and everything in between. You have to get sleep. And a bed that can perform as well as you do. Meet the next generation Sleep Number Smart Bed. It effortlessly adjusts to your shape, position, and movements. Learning how you sleep, so you learn to sleep better. Night after night. Sleep next level. Only from Sleep Number.
Don't miss our Labor Day special. Save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition Smart Bed, plus free delivery when you add a base. Ends Labor Day.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 nerve care company. Nervive tablets contain alpha-lipoic acid to relieve nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort, plus B-complex vitamins to support healthy nerve function as you age. Live life with less nerve discomfort with Nervive Nerve Relief. Learn more at nervivehealth.com. And try Nervive Pain Relieving Cream to block nerve pain signals at the source. Use as directed.
Breaking news, expert analysis, and the stories that matter most, all in one place.
I totally acknowledge seeing flames is a scary situation.
WSIC News Talk Now.
And you are listening to All Things Saine. I'm your host, Representative Jason Saine. We're on WSIC Broadcasting Live, or you might be catching us on the podcast with Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can find us on YouTube, really everywhere. And if you just look a little bit. But glad to have Coach Biff Poggi on. We talked a little bit about his fashion, but really more about that big game on Saturday, their first game at home with the new coach. The seats are selling out quick, so if you want to go, you better get online and get them pretty quickly. Now, joining me, I have the opportunity to talk to my good friend, Congressman Patrick McHenry. He's calling in now. Love to have him on the show here. We may swap a little bit of a few dad jokes here and there, but want to talk about things like China and ESG and some of the other things that are happening up in D.C. in his world. I think we have him on. Let's see if we do. Patrick, are you there? Not yet. He will be on in just a moment. But as we approach college football season, it is going to be a big year for Charlotte, not just for UNC Charlotte. Of course, we got the Panthers, but our campus is growing tremendously. So I always love promoting them. I do believe we do have Congressman Patrick McHenry on the line. Congressman, are you there?
How are you, State Representative Jason Saine? Honored to be with you.
Well, honored to be with you. I tell everybody that, I have one of the best congressmen there are, but my congressman also has one of the best state representatives you could hope for.
That's so true. So true. I'm lucky to have you. And you're the only person that will that I can call and complain to.
Well, yeah, right.
Who will actually return my call.
It all rolls downhill, sir. It's good to have you on. I hope you're doing well. Are you at home? Are you traveling? Or are you in Washington, D.C.?
I'm back in D.C.
Well,
back in D.C. trying to get things rolling for what will be a eventful fall.
Well, remind you, you do have a home on the lake, so it's probably a better place to be than Washington, D.C. It's certainly
Oh, for
easier to cool
sure.
off. Well, we applaud you for doing it.
Oh, absolutely.
Somebody's got to do it, and we're glad that you do. So what's happening with you? I mean, what life good? Kids good? You've got what, 3 kids now?
3 kids, and everything is chaotic with 9, 5, and now 2-year-old. And so, yeah, it's just busy, and like everybody else, all the parents trying to get school year going and get people situated for the school year. It's always fun and interesting.
Is this the time that I remind you that I only have one, and it's nice because he's 15. It's like having your best bro beside of you now. I don't want to make you jealous or anything, but your day will come.
I know.
Your day will come.
So much easier with one. It's still complicated though.
It's always complicated.
But yeah, it's been a grinder of a year, and as you have had, your year keeps going. So it makes things interesting. Trying to get a little break before things get interesting again.
Well, good luck with that, because you like me go nonstop, and there's very few breaks in between, which is why we love having you as our congressman. So you went in office in 2004, if my memory serves me correct, and I still have some battle scars from that. You were when you went in, you were the nation's, I think at the time, the nation's youngest congressman.
That's right, for my first 2 terms, and now. Not so much.
Well, now you're gray-headed.
But yeah, you're a huge help to me back in 2004, and you've done great work in the State House, doing us proud. And I was just telling somebody last night that you presided over the most meaningful tax reform we've had in generations, and now you're presiding as finance chair, and now as approach chair. You're making these really important decisions for the future of our state and how to make sure that we partly balance our budget and make sure we have a rainy day fund ready when if things cool off economically.
Well, thank you for the shout out on that. I will share with you our home county. I just got this from Cliff Brumfield and a text from our Lincoln Economic Development Association. Only 4 counties in North Carolina with lower unemployment than Lincoln. As you recall, when I went in, was actually looking for work.
That's amazing.
And to get us to that place, we were like 11% unemployment when I first went into office, and to get us from there to being where we're at today, kind of mission accomplished. And I know you've worked very hard on that. Economic development has been a huge part of what you've done in your time in office. It is greatly appreciated, and it's great to see our area grow. I mean, as we broadcast from the Lake Norman area and really from all around the lake. This is one of the most exciting places to live in. Doesn't mean it doesn't bring traffic, because everybody hears about us and they want to come be a part of it. But in the end, it's a much better place to be than some of the communities around the country that are failing. We're getting it right, and a lot of it is because of the conversations that we get to have together, that we work in tandem. Versus working in opposite directions, and so your work is greatly appreciated. Speaking of which, you're on the what is your role on the financial services so that people know what you do? What's your day job there in Congress?
So I chair the Financial Services Committee, which has legislative oversight of banks, of Wall Street, and of the Federal Reserve, among many other things. But that's primarily what we focus on. So a lot of focus right now on inflation and what the Federal Reserve has done and what this administration has done to make inflation worse and the price of things go up more dramatically than they should otherwise because of the massive overspending of this administration over the last 2.5 years. And the Federal Reserve was late to the game in responding to this massive Democrat spending spree that we had coming out of COVID. So I spent a lot of time focused there. Also, financial stability of our banks to make sure that people's savings are safeguarded and that we have a smartly regulated financial system that is focused on growth and innovation and financial stability. This administration just wants to focus on higher and more regulation, and rather than focus on long-term economic growth, they want the short-term pop for the next election. And so we're trying to stay focused on those longer-term things that require innovation and sustained growth for people to lift themselves, to be able to have the opportunity to lift themselves economically, and for our nation to be stronger and more competitive internationally and compete for jobs across the planet, especially in light of our strategic challenge in fighting China economically, and be prepared if we must militarily.
Well, that's right. And you can't have a strong military if you don't have a strong economy and you don't have a strong infrastructure. And your work's very important, obviously, to this region. So many of our folks within the listening area work for a bank, work at a financial institution, or somehow support that. And so your work there on the Hill, I know, doesn't necessarily get praised all the time. It's not the sexy stuff that makes the news, but end of the day, when you look at our adversaries like China and like Russia, the work that you're doing is incredibly important. I know you've done a lot on cybersecurity as well. When we talk about financial institutions and what that looks like, my staff and I took a trip over to Wells Fargo, and I'll stop telling too much there because I don't want to reveal some of the secrets that we got to see. But the banks here that are the financial institutions that are located here in the Charlotte region, it's amazing the work behind the scenes that goes on, just making sure that we do have to your point, a well-regulated, smartly regulated financial institutional system, but one that also is looking into the future and at a lot of attacks and a lot of things that are looked by our enemies that are trying to upend our economy. And I know you are a big part of that as far as, you know, how we regulate and what we do to make sure that, you know, mom and pop's, you know, savings are protected.
And that's right. I mean, you have to have that balance. So you have consumer protection, but innovation. And we have massive challenges with cyber threats and a massive challenge with an expensive payment system. To move money is very expensive in the United States, and we have to change that and have innovation come into financial services in a way like consumer tech has brought these great innovations to our iPhone and to our hands in every way of life. We need to bring that type of innovation, consumer-led tech revolution into the world of banking. There's a lot of opportunity for that if we do it smartly.
Well, absolutely. Switching gears real quick before we go to the break, and you're going to be on with us till the end of the show, but you know, I joked about us, you know, me having the best congressman and you having the best state representative, but we do live in a great area, and I know you run back and forth like I do to Raleigh. You go to D.C., but you're at home in the district a lot. I know you were just at East Lincoln Fire Department not that long ago, and you've been very active with our emergency responders, our first responders. What did you do on that?
And by the way, great work on helping our local fire departments, Jason. I mean, what you've done to help them with policy, to make sure that their funding is there, has helped all the ratepayers. For everybody who has property, their property insurance rates are better because of the work that you've done with our local fire departments across Lincoln County. It's been hugely helpful. And I've tried to assist with fire grants and training assistance, but you've done massive work in Raleigh and helped our fire departments in major ways. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you for saying so, and appreciate when you come around. I always hear that whether, you know, a lot of times you're doing stuff in the district and particularly at home, that I'm in Raleigh about the time that you get there, and vice versa, so we pass each other, but they always appreciate your visits and what you do for them too. So greatly appreciated. We're talking with Representative Patrick McHenry, our congressman for the 10th district here in North Carolina. We'll be back after the break. You're listening to All Things Saine on WSIC. We'll be back in just a moment.
There's more All Things Saine with NC Representative Jason Saine on the way from the new 1059.
Hey, man, we're on during the break. They can't hear us, so just tell you that.
Aye.
Yep. But hey, appreciate you being on today.
How you doing?
Yeah. Man,
happy to do it. Happy to do it. How long have you been doing the show?
So started July 5th, and it has been so much fun. We were in Orlando for ALEC. We broadcast live from there. It was a little bit of a challenge, but we got it done. I've had to broadcast. We do it every Wednesday from 11 to 12. So I do it from either my office or here in Cornelius. So it's a lot of fun.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Well, you know, it's funny when we go to the break. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm just in DC. We're coming back on Friday.
Oh, nice.
For Labor Day.
Nice. Now, people can hear us. I told you that, but I get texts right every time we go to a break because when we broadcast live on Facebook, YouTube, and so forth, you can't cut the feed and start it back. So people get to listen. But you know, I'm not going to say anything that get me in too much trouble anyway.
No, nothing. No, we'd never do that.
No, gosh, no.
No, it's I just I knew you've been doing the show. I just didn't know when it started. But yeah, I'm in DC. We've got to get all the committee stuff rolling, and then we've got government funding that has to happen by September 30th. I know you're still working through the budget stuff. So it's all coming ahead in the next couple of months for us here in DC.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we've been doing a lot of back and forth. I think we get it wrapped up September 11th. I think we got about 20 seconds before we go live. But I'm sorry, about a minute. I'm watching the commercial countdown. You know, it's been frustrating just the delay, because now we got into a time where people are vacationing because we said we would be done by a certain date, and people plan things, and like we went on a cruise that I didn't want to get divorced. Catherine have my butt if I said, honey, sorry, got to cancel this, and rightly so.
Well, no, I mean, this is the insane. This is the wild part about these legislative sessions is that you got things coming together, but man, it just takes forever to get things wrapped.
Yeah, it does.
But it'll work out.
Well, and people would rather us have those discussions.
Back to living life.
Yeah, I mean, people. Yeah, they want us to talk. They don't want something where we don't talk. Coming back.
Exactly.
And you're listening to All Things Saine on WSIC. I'm your host, Representative Jason Saine. Today with me on the line, we've got Congressman Patrick McHenry. He represents the 10th Congressional District of North Carolina, lives in Lincoln County, and has been serving since 2004. Patrick, welcome back.
Honor to be back with you.
Well, I got a text from one of our constituents, Jeff Periano, who listens loyally. He said, ask the congressman for me. He said, given the pesky inflation and rates are going to be what they are, would you support, in order to reduce house payments, increasing loan amortization to 35 or even 40 years on residential home loans? I don't want to put you on the spot, but he did have that question.
Sure. And look, I mean, I wouldn't say no to that. I think we have to study the trade-offs to it. I think the real issue, the base level issue here, is that we're spending way too much in Washington. That's the reason why inflation has gotten out of control. The only area of the world that has worse inflation than us is Europe, and they have the dumbest energy policy known to man. And number one, and number two, there's a ground war in Europe. And without those two things, we would be the leader in inflation. So we've got to get back to stable prices. And inflation is the main issue. These interest rates rising are as a direct result of Democrats overspending, and the Federal Reserve is trying to catch up to this massive amount of spending of federal tax dollars and deficit spending being put out into the economy, making prices go up. And so we have too much money chasing too few things, and that's driving up the cost of everything. So we got to get back to the fundamentals economically. rather than just address the secondary issues of inflation, like extending mortgage amortization time. We got to get back to the substance of the issue, which is overspending.
Well, you're probably a lot like me, and I know you get frustrated. Particularly, you're dealing with the Biden administration. We've had to deal with the Cooper administration. A lot of this is just basic economics. I mean, just a basic understanding of you can't spend it all, and you can't spend it too fast. And I mean, just like you would run your personal household, right? I mean, yeah, I have to teach a 15-year-old that, yeah, we certainly could afford that today. Problem is, we got to look to the future and make sure that we can fund the things into the future. And right now, you're suffering just like we have in North Carolina against an administration who wants to spend it all. I mean, good news for us. And you talked about me having been the finance chair and now the appropriations chair. I feel like I've got a pretty good perspective because as finance chair, you understand what it takes to get the money in, and then as appropriations chair, you understand what you're giving up to give it out. But there just seems to be an incredible disconnect in Washington, D.C., and more particularly with the president. I mean, that's got to just be mind-numbing to day in and day out to have to deal with him and his party and what they want to do.
Well, and this was the crux of the fight we had in April and May about raising the debt ceiling. This president has driven up more debt in a shorter period of time than any other president. And so in the debt ceiling negotiations, which I was a part of those negotiations, we had to force this administration to lower spending year over year for the money that we spend year over year on defense and non-defense items, and we got them to agree to that, but it took to the very last minute in the debt ceiling negotiations for them to even be willing to cut a single penny out of our federal budget, much less the billions and the billions of dollars that we need to reduce spending by in order to get back to a more balanced view of our federal spending.
Well, we could probably do a whole show on the role you played during that whole kind of back and forth on the debt ceiling and so forth. Not a perfect deal. What people I think sometimes miss when they want a perfect deal, everyone wants a perfect deal. You're dealing with a hostile environment when you're having to negotiate. But you were in the room and you got us to a much better place than we would have been if they were left unchecked. And so I very much appreciate that. But you found yourself really in the middle of a lot of things just like that, where you're there fighting day in and day out, but really at key moments in our history that might not even be understood until maybe decades later.
Well, thank you. And it wasn't a perfect deal. I agree on the debt ceiling. It was a negotiated agreement between the speaker and the president, and I and Garrett Graves of Congressman from Louisiana led the speaker's negotiating team, and in negotiating with the president's negotiating team. And it is an imperfect agreement for sure, because I was negotiating with liberal Democrats who wanted to spend more money. And they truly believe it. This is not something secondary. Everybody says that Joe Biden may not believe in all the policies he's pushing. Well, let me tell you, after that experience, he sure as heck does want to spend a whole heck of a lot more. And he is no moderate by any means whatsoever. So, but yeah, it's an imperfect deal, and we had to get a deal done because the consequences of not getting a deal done were so dire, that it was a motivator to push Democrats to negotiate with Republicans, and recognizing we only have Republicans in charge of the U.S. House, not the U.S. Senate, and not the White House. So it was the best deal we could get. But this has been a consequential year with the pushing back on the Biden administration's regulation and insurance and inflationary policies, Those things led to the bank failures we had back in March, and have made this economy much worse for the average North Carolinian, the average American, as a result of their bad policy. So we've tried to push back on a lot of bad policy, and it's really tough with all that this administration is doing, much less, the fact that we've got to push back against a Democrat White House and some Republicans in the Senate that want to spend more money. So we've got a lot of work ahead.
Well, speaking of bad policy, I want to touch real quick on environmental, social, and corporate governance, ESG. Representative Hall and I just ran a bill on that in North Carolina, trying to address that from a state level perspective. You're really right in the middle of that fight. Give us some perspective on that. What has that been like? That's bad policy, and it's bad corporate policy, but you've been a part of that discussion as well.
Well, look, what they want to do with ESG, with environmental social governance rules and regulations on big corporations, they want to do to big corporations what they've done to public schools. And that is to use it as a means for the left's social agenda. So they're pushing environmental policies through public companies, through large public companies in America. Those environmental policies they could not legislate. They couldn't get the Green Deal passed, and that when they had control the House and the Senate, Democrats had control of the House and the Senate and the White House. So they're pushing corporations to do things that they couldn't otherwise legislate. And when it comes to social issues, well, that's exactly what they're doing as well. The G is governance. Well, look, I mean, I think we want to know how large corporations they make decisions, the leadership and the board of directors make decisions. And so there's some smart governance regulation that makes sense that shareholders should have a big say over. But social policy should be left to individuals to make for themselves. And environmental policy should be left up to individuals to make for themselves, or governmental agencies for us to legislate on environmental policy. It shouldn't be left. It should not be done through corporate regulation, and much less one that lacks the vote of the American people to make these decisions. So we've got to push back on this hard because this is part of their social agenda, the left's social agenda. We have to call it out and make sure people know what is going on here.
Well, you're absolutely correct. We got about 2 minutes left, but I really appreciate your fight on that. As a consumer, we have seen what has happened with these companies, these corporations that have made some missteps. If you think about Bud Light, you think about, I think Target's gotten some fairly decent pushback when they start pushing social things. As a consumer, I just want to go in and buy the things I want to buy. I don't care about your politics. I don't want to hear about your politics. But we see that kind of infiltrating. I saw a News and Observer article over the weekend where they literally had just 4 very liberal people who were liberal donors and 2 liberal congressmen that you serve with talking about how policies at the legislature are just out of hand. And literally it was 4 people. But, most people don't want to hear that kind of thing. So, hey, before I let you go, you, like me, love a good dad joke, right? You got any good ones? Any good dad jokes?
Of course. Come on. Of course.
All right.
Oh, please. Oh, please.
Oh, let's hear it.
Let's
hear it.
The best one I got was, what was left after the cheese factory blew up. Do you know the only thing that was left?
What was that?
Debris.
Okay, fine. Hey.
Okay, it's terrible. It's terrible. Don't worry about it. Bluey is the best parents show these days. Bluey for my age kids. So Jackson's too old to watch Bluey, but it is by far the best kids show right now.
Well, he still gets dad jokes from his dad. So what did the nut say while chasing the other nut?
What?
I'm a cashew. All right. Yes. Thank you for listening to the Comedy Hour here on WSIC. Representative Patrick McHenry, it has been a delight to have you on, friend, and we'll have you back on again.
Good to be with you, Jason.
Well, thank you so much. Appreciate your service, and again, we'll get you back on soon. You've been listening to All Things Saine on WSIC. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week.
The new 105.9, 100.7 WSIC, Statesville.